What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Guys, wanted to talk to you about some awards that some coaches and players might have a chance at winning here for the Indianapolis Colts. But before we do that, guys, just want to say this episode is sponsored by FanDuel. They got a lot of odds on these types of players. So if you think that a bunch of these players can win these awards, which I'm about to talk about, go over and use that today and try to win some money there. But shout out to FanDuel. Thank you to them for sponsoring. First things first, Daniel Jones. Now, earlier in the season, Daniel Jones' name was brought up in MVP conversations. No longer really a thing in the MVP voting. He currently is, I think he has the 13th best odds of winning MVP now. So he's really far down now. But people kept talking about, can Daniel Jones win comeback player of the year? Now, I want to just stress this, insinuating that like the MVP is more catered to quarterbacks, the comeback player of the year award is more catered to people who had an injury and come back in that way. So when I ask what the actual criteria for it is, it's basically a player wins comeback player of the year by overcoming significant adversity, such as a major physical injury or illness that caused them to miss playing time the previous season. It's usually given to a player who demonstrates resilience and returning to play after a hardship, not simply for a career resurgence. So again, it's how it's in the fine lining of going to being more about injury and illness rather than about somebody that sucked last year and all of a sudden just transcended this year. Because if that were the case, that not as much emphasis, but if it was 50-50 on somebody that really didn't do well last year, but all of a sudden looks really great, if that had something to go into it, then you would have a good argument that Daniel Jones should win comeback player of the year. But the problem is, this is mainly catered to injury or illness. So the likelihoods of Daniel Jones winning comeback player of the year is virtually non-existent. While he actually does have the fourth best odds to win comeback player of the year, it really, as it currently sits for FanDuel, I don't really think it's going to matter much. I was going to say Aiden Hutchinson, that'll be another one he has to overcome, but I doubt he wins comeback player of the year, but he could. Who knows? But the likelihood of it is not very high. Okay, and then let's talk about head coach Shane Steichen. Now, obviously, as it currently sits, I think Shane Steichen is the favorite to win coach of the year if the Indianapolis Colts end the season on a relatively good note. If the Colts make the playoffs and they don't finish 2-5 in the last 7 games that they play, then I think that this team will likely end up in a good playoff spot. And then that will likely get Shane Steichen as the coach of the year. Because obviously what you have seen this year from the Indianapolis Colts, they matched their win total already from last year. And they have 7 more games to play. So obviously, you look at just how efficient this Colts team has been. Only have 2 losses through the first 10 games, tied for the best record in the National Football League. It's not a surprise that Shane Steichen's name is up there with some of the best. I would argue also you can mention Mike Vrabel. You could mention Dan Campbell in there, but we'll see how that goes throughout the year. But the Colts are going to have to finish out the year strong if Shane Steichen wants to stay in that. Other one here, offensive rookie of the year. As it currently sits, Tyler Warren has the 3rd best odds to win offensive rookie of the year. Now, I hate the fact that Jackson Dart, as it currently sits, is above him because, for one, Jackson Dart didn't even start the year. He didn't even start the year. He had to wait several weeks before they even attempted to use him. And sure, the Giants have won a few games off the back of Jackson Dart, but what has it really accomplished? It hasn't accomplished anything. So the fact that Jackson Dart is in that list should not be there. He at best should be 3. But the 2 that it should be going up against right now is Emeka Egbuka and Tyler Warren. Now, I would argue, obviously, Emeka Egbuka has the better stats as it currently sits. He also has, 10 more targets than Tyler Warren does this year. And again, for a team that has been missing most of their weapons this year, it's no wonder that Emeka Egbuka is getting all of this attention and production from Baker Mayfield, whereas it's different for the Indianapolis Colts. You've got Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, and Josh Downs, who are all having good years. And Tyler Warren, as it currently sits, is number 1 in receiving yards for a Colts team that has 3 or 4 other mouths to feed. But Tampa Bay doesn't have that problem. They're just feeding it to Egbuka because he's the only one that's consistently available all season long. So Tyler Warren should win Offensive Rookie of the Year if he keeps this up. He's going to have, at this current pace, he's going to be top 5 for most receiving yards by a rookie tight end ever after this whole thing is said and done. And if for some reason Tyler Warren is leading the Colts in yards by the end of this year, I don't care how many yards Emeka Egbuka has. When you talk about the importance of Tyler Warren and what he has had to do to go through to get that amount of production with everything else going on, Tyler Warren and Emeka Egbuka are back and forth right now, but I would hope that Warren would get it. Like I said, Emeka Egbuka, I have no doubts that he is a great target, and no question that, he has done a lot of great things for Tampa Bay. But what you utilize Tyler Warren for and what he does and how he's being utilized, just think he's more valuable. And he's gotten better production while having to deal with a lot more things to go around. So I would definitely say that. Okay, and the last guy that we can really talk about here, and it's the most obvious one, and that's Jonathan Taylor, who by all means, it might potentially be a record-setting season for Jonathan Taylor this year. As it currently sits, Jonathan Taylor is a slight favorite to win Offensive Player of the Year. The next closest is Jackson Smith-Njigba, which I totally get. Jackson Smith-Njigba, he's been having some of the best receiving seasons so far this year. It was originally Puka Nacua, but then Puka Nacua had to miss several games, and Jackson Smith-Njigba has taken full control of that. And I totally understand why Njigba's super close to potentially winning that award. But again, Jonathan Taylor, in what he has done and the numbers that he has, remember, last season, Saquon Barkley had 15 touchdowns last year, all season. Jonathan Taylor has 17 through the first 10 games. He's on pace to get 30 touchdowns this year, which, again, the numbers-wise to Saquon Barkley, the numbers will be relatively close in yards, but he's also projected to have a few less carries than Saquon Barkley this year. So, I mean, again, the numbers from yardage-wise are going to be very similar, but touchdown number-wise, Jonathan Taylor is about to blow that number out of the ballpark. And which, again, puts you in the idea of who should be in the MVP voting. And right now, the top 3, as it currently sits, is Drake May, Matthew Stafford, and Jonathan Taylor. No doubt that what you're seeing from Drake May, it's astounding. And what he's been able to do in New England, obviously New England is tied for the best record in the National Football League, in part because Drake May looks like a really good quarterback right now. And they've needed everything from him in order to win these games. Matt Stafford as well, again, looking like an insanely good player, leads the NFL in touchdowns this year, and it's really not even close. Has 25 passing touchdowns on the year. The next closest is Jared Goff with 20. So obviously Matt Stafford at an insane level. And then obviously when you talk about Jonathan Taylor, you've seen it, guys, that the Colts, their main driving force is Jonathan Taylor. When you are responsible, in a lot of ways responsible for the highest scoring offense in the National Football League, and when you're almost averaging 2 touchdowns a game as a running back through 10 games, it's obvious that Jonathan Taylor should be involved here. Now, the only way that Jonathan Taylor wins MVP is if he continues to have 3+ touchdowns every single other game. He's going to have to keep doing that. He's going to have to continue to have multi-score games almost every week from this point forward in order to be able to even remain in that conversation. As far as the offensive player of the year, if he keeps doing what he's doing, he's got that on lock. But as far as MVP goes, again, it's quarterback's league. I hate the fact that it's like that, but I mean, again, being third right now through over halfway through the season, it's very good odds for Jonathan Taylor. We'll see if he keeps it up. But that's going to do it for this one. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this. Shout out to FanDuel. Please be sure to like the stream, comment, and subscribe, guys. Nearly 40% of you are not subscribed who watch this channel. So please hit subscribe down there. Also hit that notification bell button so that you don't miss any time we upload a video. That'll do it for this one. Thank you so much. And as always, Colts.